Welcome to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine. Here's your MotorWeek podcast host, John Davis.
This is MotorWeek's 37th podcast, and obviously I'm not John Davis. Our host and emperor of MotorWeek is on the road this week, and while those are some mighty big shoes to fill, helping me attempt to do so this week is Vice President of Vehicle Testing, Ben Davis.
Oh, good to be here.
Stephen Chupnick, MotorWeek's Twitterer and updater of Facebook and Over the Edge reporter.
Hello.
And writer extraordinaire, Shamit Choksi.
That is I.
And I'm road test producer Brian Robinson. This week we'll have our usual lightning round question as well as a run through the MotorWeek mailbag. But first, a look at some recent vehicles we've had in for testing. It's always good to start things off small, and they don't get much smaller than the Ford Fiesta. Ben, you've spent more time than any of us in that one. How about you?
That I have. It's a very impressive car. I was impressed on two levels. I was very impressed with the interior. The use of materials and the actual design of the interior are incredible, especially for a car in this segment. It's great to see that the American small car market is back and that they're doing it the right way. I was slightly less impressed, but still impressed, mind you, with the drivetrain. It only comes one engine. It's a 1.6 liter, 120 horsepower, 112 pound-feet of torque. But the vehicle itself is pushing 2,600 pounds, so while it's, for the most part, fine on the highway, except for when you're passing, you're going to have to put it down into a fourth gear if you have the 5-speed, or the automatic will take care of it itself. But I was testing it in San Francisco in the hilly back roads, and you could really feel the weight of the car and the tuned for economy performance aspect of the engine, which was a little dampening, especially since the vehicle handles so incredibly well. Powering it through these back roads was a treat, but I just wish I had another 20, 25 horsepower maybe.
Did you feel it was struggling, like on the ups and downs?
Yeah, you could feel it struggling. I was winding gears out a lot, and it sounds pretty buzzy up in the upper rev range.
The name Fiesta. So was it an actual party on wheels, or that's clever marketing?
If I was in the Ford camp, I would be partying. The one of the best attributes of this car is it's so quiet inside. And when you see the dash and what it's made out of, and the ride is pretty soft when it needs to be, and it handles crazy through the turns. It feels like it should be a much more expensive car than it is.
Compares with the Yaris and the Fit. How does it compare to those?
It's in a league by itself, I would think.
Really?
You'd have to try it out yourself to be sure. I could talk for days about how much better it is, honestly.
Well, you mentioned the marketing campaign, and I think this was almost a very interesting way of how they did that, all through viral marketing on the web, and started over in Europe, and then they brought it over to the States. And Ford made sure that they marketed it to the teens and early 20s because that's who's going to buy this. And I have to ask Ben, what color was the car that you were driving?
It was green, very, very green.
And I don't know if anyone else has seen some of these cars, but the color is very unique to whatever you...
They had them all lined up. It looked like an Easter basket for sure.
Is it 5-door and sedan, 3-door, or how many different...
you can get a 4-door sedan or a 5-door hatch.
No 3-door?
No.
Yeah, we should also point out that this is a global car that's been embraced all over the world. It's back,
sure, it's been loved over in Europe.
Yeah, it
absolutely.
really has. I mean, people overseas love this car for all the reasons that you're saying. It was here at one point back in the late 70s, and now it's back. So
yep.
It's kind of exciting. I mean, I think this is one of the most important cars for Ford in recent times.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Is it the same as the European model? Because a lot of times we'll get like a watered-down version.
It's a little bit heavier due to our crash standards, and it's also a little bit stiffer due to that extra weight. But for the most part, it is the same, yeah.
All right, moving up the automotive food chain a bit, we have the Mercedes-Benz E550 Cabriolet in right now that we're testing. Shamit, why don't you drop some knowledge on that one?
Talk a little bit about that. Yeah. Okay, so the Cabriolet, Pretty awesome. E-Class, I mean, in terms of mechanically, it's it's pretty much the same thing as the E-Class Coupe, which we tested last year. Everybody here was impressed with that from a luxury standpoint, performance standpoint, technology standpoint, safety standpoint, and go on and on about that. What obviously makes the Cabriolet unique is that it does not have a top, which is the definition of a Cabriolet.
Okay.
Did you have something?
Well, I don't think that's the actual definition. It actually means some kind of fun something or other.
Oh, Cabriolet does?
Yeah.
I thought it meant convertible too.
Yeah, convertible has so many
I'm not up on my
French.
French.
Okay.
Pardon-moi.
Well, can we research that and we'll hit our
maybe
listeners
next podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. But what we're looking at here is a soft top instead of a hard top, which the decision to go that route was somewhat interesting on Mercedes' part. Audi also has a soft top right now in the same vehicle range, and there's a couple reasons for it. The weight of the weight savings, and then of course there's the savings to cargo.
We'll actually have more on that later.
Yes.
Yes,
that's right. But go ahead.
Please, no.
I don't want to leave the car without saying what's most important about it. The innovation. It's called Air Cap.
Yeah, please. That's what I was going to ask.
I mean, I should have actually started with that because that's really the most important thing about this car. Standard Air Cap. It is a 2-component deflector that comes from the windshield header and actually helps to reduce wind, noise, and turbulence into the cabin, which, by the way, is considered it's obviously a 4-seat, 4-season convertible now because of that. People can have conversations a lot easier, and we were out in there today, Brian Robinson, the four of us.
We moved the water cooler out there today.
Yeah, we moved the water cooler out there. We were talking, and it certainly makes somewhat of a difference. I don't know if it's a huge difference, but
yeah, I was in the back, and I'm no engineer or anything, but I didn't think it was making that big of a difference with it up. We started with it up, and then we did put it down, and I could tell a little bit of difference. Obviously, it's still not ideal for carrying on a conversation, but I could definitely tell a difference with it deployed and not deployed.
From the driver's seat, I was driving it. I could tell a difference. I could hear the backseat passengers better with it activated. But
it seemed like when it was up, the wind would keep from sort of recirculating back to the front. So it really was, there was a difference. You could feel it. Now, let me also mention the Air Scarf, which is a completely different system. It's a heating system that's in the headrests of the front seats that basically keeps the front passengers warmer during open top, cooler weather driving.
It's like a dragon just breathes fire down your back.
Yeah,
pretty much.
It makes you feel all good inside and outside.
Well, I have to just mention the driving just aspect of the car, and I think we can all say it's easy to say that this is a fun car to drive, but you can take turns at 70, 80 miles an hour, and you don't have to worry at all. It's just a fun car to drive, and it's
very stable. I don't think there's very little compromise between it and the coupe. It's just as solid and well planted, and there's no compromise here.
Yeah, I drove it at the drag. It did feel very solid, not much cow shake. It was very smooth. $57,000, something like that. Is that
yep.
Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah, it starts right around $57,000.
How does that compare? We just had that A5 Cabriolet. Is that about the same price as that? Or yeah, I think so. I think they're about the same.
They're knocking on each other's door for sure. I don't know which way I'd rather go, though. That's an interesting question.
Well, let's get on it. What
I prefer the Audi
really
to this one just because of the interior. I didn't like the sound system and the controls in the Audi, but the drive, I prefer the Audi much more than the Mercedes.
Really, I think the Mercedes had more of a solid feel to it, and I don't know about more fun to drive as far as performance wise, but I think more relaxing, enjoyable car.
I'm a sucker for Mercedes V8, so I'm going to choose the Mercedes. Although it would be a hard. It would take me days to make a final decision for sure.
Moving along then. Regular viewers of our show know that not only have we tested about every car and truck to go on sale over the last 29 years, We also do 3 or 4 motorcycles a year. We've got one in right now, a Kawasaki Z1000, which is insanely fast. And another one that we're doing is the Fischer MRX. And it's a brand new motorcycle company, Fischer Motors. And semi-local to us here in Maryland. And former AMA racer Dan Fischer, basically it's his company. And he came up with a custom frame, which is the industry's only one-piece all-aluminum frame. And gets engines, V-twin engines from South Korea, puts them in the bike, puts some high-end components on there, some body work, and selling them for $8,000, which is pretty impressive.
Huh.
Have you guys heard of him at all? Or?
Just through you.
Yeah. He's
much.
just kind of getting the word out. It's a 650 twin, so it's not super fast, but it's pretty torquey, and you can really run the thing around pretty hard and have a lot of fun with it.
Is it something you would buy for yourself?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, it's such a good price. Typical 600cc racer replicas, they're over $10,000 now.
Right.
So that's his big deal. Is he's coming in about $2,000 cheaper than them, and it has more high end components. He's got the Brembo brakes and the Öhlins forks and all that good stuff on there. And driving it. It didn't feel cobbled together at all. I mean, they're just getting rolling in their factory, so it was early production, and it felt like a production bike that had been rolling out for years.
What's it sound like being a 600cc V-twin?
It sounds awesome.
Sounds like a Ducati, or?
Very similar. 650 twin, and it's 90 degrees. And it sounds good at idle. They got a really good exhaust on there. It sounds really good when you get on it.
Cool.
Sounds.
Where's he marketing? I mean, is it just here right now, or is it?
Actually, all worldwide. He sold a few over in Europe and even Asia as well.
Really?
But maybe he's like local band or whatever. He's going to get big in Europe before he gets big here. But I mean, the U.S. is the world's largest sport bike market. And there's no one here making them except for him, now that Buell's gone. So I think he's kind of the right place, right time.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like Hyundai.
Well, we'll see. Well, as much as I love to sit around and talk about motorcycles, we do need to move on. Before we get into our lightning round, anything going on in the over-the-edge department?
Well, not right now as far as new things. However, the month of April was very busy, and you'll definitely see that in our 30th season. The beginning of this month, I spent flying a plane, which was an amazing experience for me. I'm not a pilot, but it definitely...
But you play one on TV, which is awesome. Yeah.
And it definitely made me want to pursue my pilot's license. I was part of the Road and Runway Rally through the AOPA, which is an airline pilot, commercial, non-commercial pilot association. It includes John Travolta, Harrison Ford, and then your regular just sport pilot. And this was between a smart car. It was a race that we took down from Frederick, Maryland, to Lakeland, Florida, in the Sun and Fun Pilots Convention.
Sounds awesome. Don't give it all away.
Yeah.
We'll be sure to tune in.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Now it's time for our lightning round question. We've got 2 minutes for this one. Electric hardtops seem to be more prevalent in the convertible market, but 2 convertibles we reviewed recently, the Audi A5 Cabriolet and Mercedes-Benz E-Class Cabriolet, have soft tops, as well as we just had the 5-liter Mustang in. That was a soft top as well, convertible. Which do you think is better, hardtops or the traditional fabric top? Interesting question. Who wants to get us started?
I'll start since we just talked about the Mercedes.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a top like the one the Mercedes has, it's this new 3-layer sound dampening. The big difference between the 2 tops, between hard and soft, is how much is it going to shield you from noise. If a soft top does that, and there's no real palpable difference, then why not go with the soft top? I think that it looks cooler, it's lighter, it's better on cargo. I mean, that's the way to go for me.
Having lived with soft tops for a long time, I'm a little tossed in this. By all means, if you have a garage, go for the soft top. If it doesn't have to have snow piled up on top of it or UV rays beating down on it all day long, then by all means grab the soft top. But if you don't have a garage, I'd much rather have snow piled up on my hard top and sun beating down on that, because replacing the soft top every 2-3 years, it's a big chunk of money.
The big advantage to me with the soft top is just trunk space. Usually with a retractable hard top, it usually gets stored in the trunk, and then you have absolutely no space whatsoever.
Right.
I think like the G37, that's a retractable hard top, and you can maybe get a ham sandwich in the trunk when the top is stowed in there, whereas the 370Z, based on the same car, soft top, almost a full trunk back there.
Right. So a bigger sandwich.
A big, or even like a foot long sub. Yeah.
Now we're talking.
well, the Miata, you've had a couple Miatas.
Yeah.
And you can get a hard top on that now or soft top. Which would you get?
I would get the soft top just because the look, it's a classic look to have a soft top.
Yeah, that's great.
I've never had a convertible, so I can't really weigh in. Although my wife did have a Mercury Capri.
That doesn't count.
Had a soft top, but then it had the bolt-on hard top. And that thing leaked worse than the soft top. It was like worse. It just lived in our basement for years.
Bolt-on hard tops, yeah, that's the best of both worlds there. I'd take a soft top with a bolt-on hard top.
Really?
Absolutely.
On your Miata?
Miata, S2000, whatever, Mercedes SL if it was available.
All right, with that bell sound there, I guess it's time to head on over to the MotorWeek mailbox, see what's in here for us. This week's question is from Alistair. Can you tell me why U.S. auto producers do not make small diesels? Short and sweet. Probably not a short answer. Anybody?
Well, I mean, one of the reasons is there are a lot of reasons I'm sure we'll touch on. One is just the fact that America doesn't embrace diesels. So forget about small diesels. The entire diesel market is sort of suppressed in this country.
Very true.
Yeah, I think it's similar. If there was a demand for it, like you're saying, they would be making it. I mean, people just don't want them.
Yeah.
It's similar to manual transmissions. People are like, well, why can't I get a manual transmission in my Accord? I'm like, well, you're one of 2%, maybe 200 people that would buy that.
It's just not cost
effective. Yeah, they don't have the money to engineer and design a whole new transmission just for 2% of the buyers. But everyone compares it to Europe, and obviously diesels are big in Europe. But two things differently over there is obviously their price is structured of their fuel to that diesel's a lot cheaper, which is not the case here in the U.S. And their EPA regulations, ours here, they're just not diesel happy at all. I mean, entire states where you can't even buy and sell diesels. So unless we change that, I don't see anything changing.
It is moving in a diesel direction. So, I mean, maybe over the next 5, 7, 10 years, we'll see more of that. It remains to be seen.
Until the prices become more of a balance. I don't think it's going to be.
Yeah, we keep saying that, but it keeps getting pushed farther and farther away. Everyone said when we got clean sulfur diesel, then they would just start rolling in. Well, Volkswagen and Audi, I mean, who else is rolling them in? I mean, nobody yet.
Right.
So I don't
Mercedes.
know.
Yeah, Mercedes.
I think they're just they're not really small.
That's
they're more
true.
the full-size cars. I think, I guess, to answer your question, I just don't think there's the market for it.
I agree.
Well, Alistair, I'm not sure if that helps or not, but for your question, you will get a MotorWeek T-shirt and quite possibly be the envy of all your car-loving neighbors. If you're listening and do have a question or a comment, hit us up at motorweek.org. Let us know what you're thinking.
That was kind of funny, Ben. You should have laughed. There you go.
I'm delayed here today.
I'll save it for the water cooler later. All right. Thanks for joining us, folks. Be sure to check out our website and Twitter updates and become a friend on Facebook to get up-to-date info on all the latest things we're working on. I'd like to thank our podcast producer, Michelle Parker, audio engineer, Jim Bigwood, and, of course, our podcast creator and all-around idea man, Bob Mixter. And before we go, I'd like to give a quick shout-out to our two camera guys here at MotorWeek, Ray Kawada and Dave Hunter, two of the best guys in the business. They're basically responsible for everything you see on our show.
Absolutely.
And they do a great job. Don't always get the recognition that they should, but they do a great job. Thanks to them for that. And be sure to check us out on BBS, and we'll see you next time on MotorWeek.
You have been listening to the podcast of MotorWeek, television's original automotive magazine. For additional information on podcasts, videos, and showtimes, visit our website at motorweek.org. And watch MotorWeek, television's longest-running automotive magazine series each week on your local PBS station.